couldn't remember who was in the matches and what.
Snitch.
Oh my bad.
But I'm gonna be cognizant of not cussing in the first 7 minutes.
Yes.
But after that,
told you,
it's
man,
on and
minute 8.
popping.
I gotta do the research on it to make sure and see exactly when the minute is.
Okay.
And then we can just let it off. Let it go.
You out of line for that. Snitching to start the show. You've been on one today, actually.
That's snitching.
That is not snitching.
Right.
I didn't give no facts or nothing.
Okay. I didn't get facts either. I got 2 questions for y'all. One is wrestling related. One just came to me right before we pressed record. And I can't remember already why it came to me. But this show's going to be very random. But in a good way. How many... Oh, that's why. He said he doesn't read his text messages because he just lets the AI on the Apple just like summarize everything. How many group text threads are you guys a part of?
Not many at all. I'm probably in 3 or 4. And 2 of them have both y'all 2 in it. So not many.
That's not many. Okay. So you got 4.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably in closer to 8 or 9, maybe.
Damn.
Nice, Mr. Social over there.
That's a lot.
I'm not really though. That's the fucked up thing. Oops.
Dude!
Hey, I'll be honest.
We'll
with
try
you.
again next week.
I never agreed to
We'll try again next
to
week.
the terms.
Jeez.
I never agreed to the terms.
But no, 9 is a lot, man. But how many of those 9 are subsets of other ones?
So 3 of them are work related.
All right, so
I
it
don't
takes you to
count
6.
that.
Okay.
I don't count
No,
that.
that still counts because I'm sure there's somebody
because
who...
I get blown up right throughout the day with these things.
No pause.
Wow. That's egregious. That one was a little egregious. And he knew it too. You see, he giggled.
You start in the first 3 minutes of this show.
He was sitting back.
You know what? Between
All right,
him being on one and you being on one, this is about to have the makings of a show very, very great. Or not very, very great.
Kind of like what you said about Jade and Asuka last week.
That's exactly what I said.
Excited to hear your thoughts on
when we get there.
So you have 6 or 9 including work. You said you have like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I'm probably at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm probably at about 5 or 6. Actually 6 or 7.
See?
So that's not
now,
many, though.
Now, if you want to ask me which ones I actually engage in, it's probably closer to 3 or 4.
So we're all kind of about around the same a little bit.
No, I'm at 4, and my 4th or 5th one is actually the one with E keep on getting kicked out, and then had to somehow come back in. So it's just like, really, I probably only have 2 group messages. That's sad.
I mean, I told you before, you're not that popular. Actually, I told you years ago, you really didn't have friends, and your friends was just my friends. I told you that a long time ago.
No,
you don't really have friends, though.
That's not the case.
Oh, no, she had plenty of friends. I met a lot of them.
They're not really friends, sir. Those are associates.
Oh,
and she don't even rock with them anymore. She don't even talk to them.
That was 20 plus years ago.
So here's
you don't talk to a lot of friends either.
You get damn right. So here's the second question. So Matt sends me a text message about 5 o'clock today. He's like, "Can I go outside?" I'm like, "Sure, man. Go have fun." You know, he's been just like outside playing basketball for like 16 hours. Now he wants to play basketball. He had the opportunity in the world to play high school ball, and now he's getting to the point where he's pretty good. No, he didn't want to play then when he had to be forced to go to practice and such. Now he just wants to go outside and just go to the park and play for 12 hours after he graduated. But I digress. But he told me, he said, also today on the pod, since it's Canada Day, mention stuff about Canadian wrestlers. Like your favorite Canadian wrestlers, favorite moments in Canada as a wrestling fan, overall impact of the Hart Foundation of Wrestling. Now he's sending this. I told you how random my guy is at times. So I said, pod comes out tomorrow, pal. Like, the day's gonna be late. Like, what is this nation day? Like, on Wednesday, what's the nation day? He said, Romania. I said, then we'll give the people 30 minutes of Roman Reigns because that's close to Romania, I think. And he said, talking about Roman Reigns in 2025 is crazy.
All that is just a lot.
But right, I know. So my question around that is the Canada questions.
Okay.
Who's your favorite, like, Canadian wrestler? What do you think about the Hart Foundation impact? And he's, of course, just Spitfire. And then favorite moments in Canada as a wrestling fan.
My favorite Canadian wrestler I had to purge out of my memory. And then Heart Foundation, don't know much about that at all. And what was the last thing Little Matt said?
Best moments in Canada as a wrestling fan.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I had two. It was like a back-to-back. It was WrestleMania 17, which was the first WrestleMania I went to, and then SummerSlam that next year, that next August. It was like a back-to-back. Both trips, I was not over 21 yet, but I was 19 at one of them, and I was able to buy like drinks legally without having to get carded. And if I did, it was okay. We had so much fun. We tore up that city and just had a great old time.
Great old time. I can't think of the Canada thing, to be honest with you. I've been quite a few times. Actually, one of our good friends had reminded us we went to Will's Inn back in the day.
Shout out to Will's Inn.
Will's Inn.
Will's Inn.
Boy,
nothing good happened. Nothing good happened. Yeah, nothing good happened at Will's. Go ahead, E.
I gotta tell you, I don't remember this place. I don't remember going.
It's a figment of your imagination.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, we went to Will's Inn. He showed me a picture when we had these. I think it's his wife. Yes, had to be his wife was in the picture, and my then girlfriend. I'm like, man, I don't know what this picture is. Where were we? So he had to give me the context. Like Will's Inn. Like, what the hell is that?
Dude, that's so funny, man. And if you don't know what Will's Inn, imagine Six Flags like an indoor amusement park.
And it really wasn't an amusement park, but
it really wasn't.
It really wasn't an amusement park.
Yeah,
it was like Kalahari for young adults. That was up to no good.
But and that is the second part because like we really didn't. Whatever. There's all right. That's one of the topics for That's Freaking. We just gonna talk about Will's Inn. The things that we could talk about that spot there, boy. But so mine's of course is Heart Foundation had a huge impact, of course, on wrestling, especially tag team wrestling. You get a lot of people who still talk about that's like their favorite tag team. My favorite being in Canada, of course, was Hogan and Rock. But watching, I've talked about it before, but it's Stadium Stampede, the In Your House that was in Canada, where the Heart Foundation went against Austin. I can't remember what his team was, but it was Babyfaces versus Heels. And of course,
who's Babyface?
Heart Foundation was Heels in America, but Babyfaces in Canada. And imagine the reason why that show was so special was because the crowd is like what the international shows are right now. So imagine that, but then imagine the rest of the shows, the crowds barely interact with anything. So imagine what that jolt of energy was watching that on television. And they got to that main event and seeing the Heels cheered and the baby faces booed. Insanity.
Would you say that was like one of your first times watching where it flipped? Who you were supposed to cheer got booed and who you were supposed to boo got cheered on that grand scale?
Yeah, because I mean, and of course, this was 96, right? So the internet is just starting to pop.
Mm-hmm.
So there isn't nearly as many, I think there were some of the magazines out, and I think the Observer was probably out, sure was out back then, and maybe Wade Keller was too, I'm not sure. But of course, it was a small percent compared to what it is now. So there was no knowing the inside stuff or being too smart. And I'm gonna, do this for the crowd. Hell, this is before the What Chance, right? So then, like think about pre-What Chance, and it was amazing. It was just amazing to watch, and the Babyfaces didn't work any different.
I guess they couldn't.
They were the Heels.
Yeah, they
right?
couldn't.
It was just,
yeah,
and everything they did got a reaction. Actually, you got to pull it. I'll watch that. I haven't watched that in at least a decade, but I'm talking like a Punch got a reaction like WrestleMania 40 main event, WrestleMania 41 main event. It was unreal. It was crazy.
I'm surprised they didn't plan for that, though. I'm surprised they didn't.
Oh, I'm sure they did. Well, it didn't matter because the next night on Raw, we're back to what it's supposed to be.
Got it.
It was only in Canada where the Heart Foundation babyfaces when they were supposed to be Heels.
Oh, and by the way, I think that Christian was my guy. Actually, take it back. It just popped in my mind. Rick Martel,
the model. He was from Canada?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay. Like now, Chelsea Green is killing it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a few good Chris Jericho, if you minus the last 3 years, 4 years, he's there. He's there on my list. So let's start this podcast because I was going to come and have like a therapy session, and I need you guys to be my therapist.
I like that.
I think I'm kind of okay now. I think I'm kind of all right. But if you guys would like to tend your knowledge.
Oh, sorry.
What's that?
Kenny Omega.
I mean, you didn't say it.
Yep. Because I'm thinking about like a long time ago in the Christian and Edge type stuff.
DNC.
It'd be Kenny Omega. So sorry, Matt. I know you're trying to get your mental health together. And I said F it is after June. It's already July. So I just cut you off there. But I'm sorry.
It's fine. I mean, this is mental health month, and you just showed. Actually, no.
No, I said it's over. That's why I just said. I was
That's
like,
why you did it. You said, fuck my health, my brain health. What
you say the F word after the 7-minute mark.
Yeah, come on, don't play with me. You know I got this pal. You brought up Omega. I do want to say, and I made a quick note. AEW was really good last week. AEW was really good last week. Now, it was funny because it was like an hour 1 and hour 2 difference for me. Hour 1, I was locked in, dialed in, watching it for probably the most intense time as I have in months and months and months. And I really enjoyed a lot of the stuff that they did. Like the show started off with Mercedes and Tony Storm in a brawl. That's how the show started. So immediately, I think I even tweeted like, this is one of my favorite openings of Dynamite ever because it gave you that anything can happen. It wasn't a promo, it wasn't a match. It started with a beatdown. So that already kind of had me locked in. And then the Bucks tell Ospreay and Swerve, like, hey, your match is next. And Ospreay is running to the ring getting dressed because he wasn't prepared. I love that because how many times do we talk about like, oh, so you just knew your match is next? Like you got them hitting your music or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Thought that was tremendous. The video packages. Now, maybe this is stuff that's been happening all year and I just haven't been paying attention because I haven't really been locking in on AEW until now. But they are showing video package for anything that you need to show a video package for. If it just happened on Collision, if you want to tell me the history of said storyline, if you want to tell me the said history of said wrestler, they're starting to show video packages. So now if I am watching for the first time, I at least know why stuff is happening like it needs to be happening. Awesome stuff. So, I mean, I keep going on, but Dynamite was really good. Bravo to them.
Bravo.
And I
just have to say a disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on Zyrtec D.
Okay.
And I'm feeling really woozy right now. In a good kind of woozy way. So
that's what drug addicts say.
Hey, you know what? Most drugs make me sleepy. When I take that, it doesn't do anything to me.
Oh, he gives me the shakes 30 minutes in, like the straight up shakes. And then I'm just like, and for people who's listening, it's just like stoned out.
No, I don't get any of that. That's strange.
Then I fall asleep. Then bounce back like a bad back of dope. By that time, it's time for me to re-up.
Ooh, straight ass drug addict, man. Who gets strung out on Zyrtec? That is some shit that you would absolutely get strung out on Zyrtec.
And it's
you gotta
expensive.
Have an intervention. Family and friends, your 5 or your 4 group text messages.
No, because it's y'all, but there's different versions of it. Remember?
Y'all come together and sit you down and say, that's Zyrtec. You have to let it go.
Yeah, then I'll be hacking on this show like I was hacking earlier.
TFW Podcast episode 206 is here. The best kept secret in wrestling podcast. I am Matt. You know that. Rhodesia's here. Eshaun is here. I said I wanted to peek behind the curtain. Yesterday I sent out the text that whatever y'all got, we can talk about. I have one thing on this show I want to talk about, and other than that, I'm giving it to you guys. That's still going to be a thing. But I don't think I need therapy now. Okay, but I do think I'm a little too deep into the game right now. I think I'm a little too deep. Remember the movie In Too Deep with L. Cool J and Omar Epps?
Oh my God, the pool stick scene.
Love it. You remember that, right?
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with the pool scene, but he got too deep. He got too deep in. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's kind of where I'm at right now with WWE. I think I'm a little too deep in.
Expound more, please.
Matt asked me on Saturday night after we watched Night of Champions. I didn't watch it till later that night. He said, how'd you like Night of Champions? I couldn't answer the question. I had to ask. I answered his question with the question. And my question I asked him was like, what do you mean? What did I think? And then he says, like, what'd you think of the show? Like the matches. And then I wanted to ask a follow-up question to that. And I was like, okay, I have to answer his question. But I didn't know how to answer his question because it was just a lot. It was like, it's a lot. And some of it bothers me because I feel like they're just running through things. And these big shows every 2 weeks is really, from a quality perspective, it's kicking them in the ass some. I did think Raw was awesome. So I do have stuff for the show if whatever you guys want to talk about. Like I said, I'm gonna play the background on it. But that's how I felt. I just told him, I was like, man, it was a lot. Like overall, I felt like the show was a 2-match card, which the crowd was there for, book in, first match, last match. And I had to stop myself because I could have nitpicked almost something in every match. And I do not want to get to that point. Because there was some good stuff on that show. But it's like, that main event and that finish, it's like, are we trying to replicate? Like, I know we talk about a lot, WrestleMania 41 over and over again, like these run-ins. And we know like Roman's matches when he was in the Bloodline had beats to it. And it had a formula. And you knew you were going to get the shenanigans. And then we came with Bloodline rules where, the shenanigans are welcome now. We want everybody in the match. And like, I'm just like, when, and God bless him, Penta. When Penta came out and he started slow walking, I giggled, but I was like, what the fuck are we doing during John Cena and CM Punk's last match ever? What are we doing right now? How is this match a setup for something else? This needs to be a stamp on John Cena. And I was like, that's when I was like, I may need therapy on the show. Because I shouldn't be this deep in. I should be able just to watch and enjoy. And of course, if there's things that piss me off, come on the show, bitch and moan about it, move on and watch the next episode. But I am wondering if some of these cracks are starting to break me down a little bit.
Well, it's not breaking you down so much because you're still saying that you're in too deep. So it's almost like an admission that they still have you as a fan. Like they're not going to lose you. You're still in the game. You're still undercover. But I think you hit the nail on the head primarily with you having all these shows back to back to back to back. And we've seen that before at other places where you have to have a show here, a show here, a show here. You're constantly trying to book for the next show. And we're here at this show. So part of that, you kind of lose the steam for that one that we're in right now. I think that me and you are very aligned as far as the actual Night of Champions PLA actually went. There's really only 2 matches that I really care for on that show. And neither one of them was really that important. They weren't for any titles or anything like that. So you could probably guess which ones I'm talking about. It's fatigue. It's a storyline fatigue too. So when you talk about all those run-ins, it was cool a couple weeks ago when we had the run-in people who weren't going to be in that. Remember how you mentioned the Survivor Series lead up and people who are in the Survivor Series teams, they're going to come and run in. No, we had different people come in. That was actually cool. That was an awesome element that they did there. But if you're doing this all the time, then now it becomes expected. And now it's going to be a time where, okay, how come the person didn't come in? And it's probably one of the reasons why we got let down so much when The Rock didn't show up at WrestleMania, because we had been getting used to that, hey, somebody's going to run in, someone's going to run in. And then we got that. It was just flat.
Run-ins or multiple run-ins in the match don't really bother me because this ain't the first rodeo with multiple run-ins in main event matches. Like, we've seen this formula. I remember back in the day, Rhodesia, like Ric Flair in his heyday in the 4 Horsemen in the 80s, all his matches had run-ins. The Horsemen ran in every single match, right? Out comes Arn Anderson. Out comes Tully Blanchard. JJ Dillon hopped up on the entrance. Like it was after one after another, right? We go to the NWO. NWO always had a bunch of run-ins and et cetera, and shenanigans happening. So it's nothing new. Jeff Jarrett in TNA, man, one of the worst wrestlers ever. Man, all his matches had a bunch of shenanigans in it. And, a lot of times when wrestlers started getting no longer in the tooth, they had these distractions to kind of add some more like umph to it, right? This kind of distract you that ain't really a lot of happening from a ring work perspective. Not to say that that was happening with the CM Punk or Cena thing, but I do feel like the run-ins for that match didn't make as much sense, like, right? Because like a lot of times, like with the Four Horsemen, you knew the Horsemen were coming out on behalf of Ric Flair. That's just part of it, like, right? Almost kind of like the Judgment Day when they were like full force. Like, okay. you kind of knew, right? But none of these people are regularly aligned with each other, so they're kind of just all kind of in this mishmash, like feud or something like that, which is really strange. I mean, I think for me, the thing with WWE is that we talked about it, and I think Rhodesia hit the nail on the head a couple of shows ago. She was just like the top of the card. The booking is just really wonky. It's just not. It hasn't been good. And I think the booking for me hasn't been great ever since the Bloodline stuff. Like, again, now we fantasy booked a lot of things in our head to where we thought things should be, and it never played out to that. And I don't feel like me as a fan, I've ever really recovered. And I don't think they've done a great job with the main event scene. You know, look, this John Cena thing is really flat. Like, I know there's some things going on, and, you know, he had a awesome promo that people really enjoyed. But I just, look, whatever he's doing, like, he's not a heel at this point. The crowd definitely wants him to be a face. Like, right? And so him trying to do the face thing and the heel thing, maybe that might turn into a great story, right? Because I was thinking about that, right? Because, you know, he had an opportunity at some point in the match to hit CM Punk with the championship, and he decided not to, right?
Yep.
I'm like, okay, are we planting some seeds for him to kind of realize that, hey, I don't need to do these things to win. The fans are behind me, right? But he's done a lot of things to kind of discredit the fans, say, I don't need you, things of that nature, right? Now for him to kind of a month or so later say, hey, you know, I was wrong for the past couple months. I'm sorry that, you know, I was going in on y'all, but, you know, you were right the whole time. I was in my head, or whatever the case may be. And at the end of the day, the crowd already wants to cheer him anyway. I guess it'll be fine. But from a story perspective, it just doesn't seem like a great story to me to go that route. That's where they're going. For me, I think it's all story at the top of the card. I feel like it just hasn't been solid for quite some time. Now, if you want to look at it, does it make kind of some sense? Is it as bad as AEW was with some logic holes? I wouldn't say that. I would just say that it's kind of mid.
It's cracks. Yep.
Yeah,
it's not a complete pothole yet, but it's just it's cracked. It's not Michigan streets. Fix these damn streets, right? It wasn't that, or isn't that? But yeah, there's cracks for sure. I'm okay though with the run in, because we'll get to that on Raw. Seth's explanation of why he came out. I'm okay with that. And that made sense to me in that moment. Again, it's like, okay, here's some more drama, but that makes sense. Just 24 hours later or 48 hours later, you come out and you say that. I'm okay with that. But it is starting to become that same old, all these run-ins. And I guess the difference of what you were saying, E, was more of, you knew with the Four Horsemen, they were always going to come in. This is like the Bloodline, and then every other story after the Bloodline. To me, it's just it feels a little bit like just storyline fatigue.
What did Seth Rollins say on Raw?
He had said, I wasn't trying to take the championship from you. I don't know the first part of it, but he said, but I will never, if I'm breathing or if there's breath in my life, CM Punk will never be a champion here at WWE. So that's the reason why he was interfering. So
he flew that way just to stand on business.
Yep.
That's how you produce a segment right there. Where
but look,
you bring up about what happened on Raw, and you don't even tell us what he said.
Because I rely on you to come back.
No, man,
remember, we're in this partnership together in life.
No.
You have to represent for me. Remember how we talking about got my 6? Yeah. I got your 6, you got my 6. Come on, we should be past this. We're episode 206. We should already the 6s and the 6s, the 206s. Come on. We need to get past this. Right. We need to get past this at this point.
Y'all brought up so many good things that I want to touch on. I mean, let's then say with Punk and Cena.
Okay.
Then. All right, well, thank you guys for your feedback on it. And of course, I'm still locked in terms of the show, but I was like, I gotta maybe, and it's not me, it's them. Even down to, I don't want to just complain. I don't want to get on here to complain. So that's why I'm just really, because I want to make sure I personally went through this when AEW was dog shit.
Hey, hold on a second though, Matt. We need to pause, man. You said at the start of this new year and this new season And you haven't really went there yet. You said you wasn't holding back no more, man.
That is true.
And you
So
said
I'm the
that
only
you
one
was
out here
pulling
doing
cards. And now you telling me, and I know what this show was. When you start talking about Zortex and we talk about AEW, that's right.
That's
Zortex,
like an alien movie.
we
Or
talking about
something.
Zortex and AEW in the beginning of the show. I'm like, oh, he don't want to talk about what he saw this weekend, and he procrastinating to get in there. We're not doing that this year, man. I want it raw, man. Okay? I want it spread out, spread eagle, raw, hard as you can go.
I'm getting a hot flash over here, y'all.
I see you getting excited. You need to relax.
No pause.
But you know what it is, and what it is I don't want it to come across like I'm more negative than what I am on the products. I'm still, at the end of the day, I'm more high than I am low on it. And what I don't want is for these shows to come across as just bitch sessions. That's why I said
get that.
I'm being careful.
This is one show out of the thousands that we've done. The freaks know what it is, man.
All right, Hogan.
If you go back and listen to our last few shows, it's kind of been,
yeah.
I mean, dude, we've been riding them hard.
What we do on this
there
show.
You like the way I did that one for you?
Riding them hard.
Oh, I love that, man. Like, see, like, so it hits such a chord that I just felt it and kept on going. Look, we got to keep it real on this show, man. We gotta be the voice of the voiceless. We gotta say what's going on, man. Speak your truth, my young brother.
CM Punk is no longer the voice of the voiceless because he's a millionaire.
He's a billionaire, and that's not me. So
yeah, so I do think if we had to summarize it, I think it is just how many shows they've had, big shows.
Yeah,
right. Like at the end of, I should have felt a sense of what I just saw in whatever way that was. Remember how the end of Cena and Orton was, and you were like, man, that was just two veterans in there.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
We got what we needed to get.
Yep.
I don't think anybody felt that way after watching Punk and Cena because of the shenanigans. That was their last match ever. These guys were tied 6-6, like all these different things. They are the complete opposite of each other when they both were on top a decade plus ago. And yeah, we got the handshake and the hug, but then we also got the Cena heel face again, but then Punk knew it was coming because he seemed to be. I get we got that, but I should have felt a sense of this was the final time we're going to see these two. Thank you for what you guys gave us.
Unfortunately,
and what we got was, oh, I wonder if they run this back at SummerSlam. I saw that on Twitter.
What we got,
and we know that,
and what we're getting after WrestleMania is literally. I wish I could put it. I wish I can say it on actual audio, but it's a box and it's a check mark. That's all they're doing. They're doing a check mark. Okay, Cena, R-Truth, check mark. Cena, CM Punk, check mark. That's all they're doing. He's limited to so many days, and I would hope that his final whatever, whether it's his last month, his last 60 days, his last 6 weeks, that hopefully that has something that you can sink your teeth into. So when he does go sayonara come the end of December, we're like, okay, at least he ended in a good way. But this is all it is. All it is check marks. Check mark, check mark, check mark, check mark, check mark. When CM Punk first started saying this is the summer of gold for him, we clowned him.
No, now we figure it out. We figured it out last night though.
What is
Punk and Gunther at SummerSlam?
Oh my God.
Oh, you're not here for that?
No. I want a second to think that question over.
Well, 1,000.
Dang. Well, I meant like Zyrtec time.
Oh.
But now that's funny. So now I didn't have time to think because I'm laughing.
You know, like I think part of like I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No.
I feel like for me though, like since I was never a big Cena fan. Actually, I'm an opposite fan. Like I'm more realistic to where he's at right now. Like right at 50 years old, like from a match quality standpoint, he's not going to give us. CM Punk is damn near 50. Cena is 50 almost. Like we're not going to get a CM Punk John Cena match from 2008. Like right, they're just too old. They're not going to give us that quality of a match. So when we talk about that one final match, like they're two 50-year-old men that probably shouldn't have been in the ring for 30 minutes if you want to go straight up. If they're going to be in the ring for that long, it's going to be stuff they're going to do in there to kind of smooth the stuff out. That's just the reality of the situation. Like, right, these aren't guys that are in their physical primes anymore. Like, they might be smarter, right? They know how to work, but Cena was never considered like the Bret Hart of his generation. Let's just be honest. That's just not what it is, and that hasn't increased with age. Is he smart? He's a good worker. I'm not talking about that specific thing. I just don't think from a ring work perspective. Like, I think the expectations were a little too high on where they are with their career and what Cena has been giving us since he's been on his retirement tour. I feel like we probably should take a step back and just like, look, more of his matches are going to be more of an entertainment value, right? It's more of the storytelling. Like, as a purist or a hardcore fan, if you're looking for like, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels from back in the day, like, I don't think you're going to, I think that's your expectation from his matches. You're going to be let down. I think from like a casual fan perspective, all like the shenanigans and just the star power was probably more enough for them to say, hey, this is satisfying. Maybe not the greatest match of all time, maybe not a match of the year candidate, but it's satisfying enough to get to the next story flow.
So I think you just at 31-minute mark or 30-minute mark, I think you just broke down what you can summarize me at right now. Because in the entire time we've been talking, not one time did I mention match quality. I've only been talking storyline. And I think, once again, this is a byproduct of too many big shows. I know the matches are going to be good. Right? Like, I know if we're getting Orton and Cena in a PLE match, I know the match is going to be good. I don't even need to talk about the match. Right? But that's kind of like where WWE is at right now. They have so much incredible talent. It would be more of a conversation to have if a match was bad. More than so if a match was good. So that could be what the issue is for me, is that I'm getting these major shows every 2 weeks. I'm not getting paid off from a storyline, and the wrestling is the wrestling because it's going to be good. And that was the same thing I was saying for AEW a year ago. Like, we know the wrestling's gonna be good. We know if you turn on a pay-per-view, you're going to be blown away by the wrestling matches. But I need to be invested in the wrestling matches to care about said wrestling moves and wrestling matches. And I do care about the majority of what I'm seeing in WWE, but I do think that's what it is. I think it's because I'm not getting paid off in these storylines now, and I'm seeing these shows every 2 weeks. That is what my focus is, and it is not bell-to-bell in ring. Because if it was bell-to-bell in ring, I'm maybe having a different conversation about WWE. And maybe we've been having a different conversation for the last month if it was about in ring. But we watch, of course, for both, the characters, the storylines, and the in ring work. So that could be what it is.
I would say this: they've been telling stories that you can understand and you can follow, like, right? Unlike what AEW was doing for quite some time, right? Like, they've been telling stories that you can follow. The problem we're talking about, like, I just don't think the stories they've been telling are very good or have been executed very well. That's the problem. Like, we know this is so. Like, here's the thing about with WWE and where they're at right now. These PLEs right now, it's like a Super Raw.
Correct.
And more of the emphasis is on the ring. It's just one show to the next show, right? And they're telling stories through the matches that gets the ass to the next story. This is just like, these are just wrestling matches, right? And the stories play out in the wrestling matches.
And what you just said is perfect to what we saw Saturday to Monday. Yeah. We saw Cena and Punk in the main event with a run-in, and the people who ran it was in a tag match on Raw.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. My bad thing is coming from, but you did it during fucking CM Punk and John Cena. Like, that needs to be its own, this is over. I don't care. I'm not saying they had to hug or they had to do the handshake, but give it to me to where we know that book is closed, and what we saw we won't see again. Give me that. I don't need the run-in at that point for a failed cash-in that we know he wasn't going to cash in anyway. Like, I don't need that part at that show. But
I wouldn't say that really quick with Seth. I wouldn't say that I didn't think that he was not going to cash in. I thought that maybe he could have cashed in. If you would have said, if you go at altitude and look at it, was that the time Seth was going to cash in? Probably no, if you forced me to answer. But it wasn't like he wasn't going to. So I was completely okay with that. 100% okay with it. I'm okay with all of that, all the way to, I'm okay with it. Because at this point, that's what we got. We got CM Punk and John Cena very quickly, and now it's going to be really quickly over. It is what it is with John Cena. I want to get back to the Seth and Gunther because not Seth, Punk and Gunther, because my 1 second of Zyrtec finally made it over.
Oh.
I do want to see that actually, because I would like to see the story behind then now Seth and CM Punk and how they interact. I didn't want Punk as a champion. I just didn't. I didn't think that probably was necessary, I should say. I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve it. I'm not going to use that word, but I would say it wasn't necessary. But I would love actually to see the two of them going against each other, knowing Seth has the Money in the Bank and Punk has in the title. I could see that. I'd be there for it.
So that was what part of that is what kind of snapped me out of it on Monday Night Raw. So they got me right back. I watched Raw, not hate watching, but I'm like, okay, let me watch because the show should be good because they're building up to Evolution and building up to Saturday Night's Main Event. Once again, they have some every 2 weeks, but I'm like, all right, this should be good, and it was. I thought it was really good. So to your point about Seth or Punk and Gunther comes out, cuts promo, and we get the whole shenanigans that we got with Punk showing up, running Seth off. We get the stare down between Punk and Gunther. He pushes Gunther down
like a bitch.
I was like, okay, right? I was like, okay. And then now we know we're getting Cody Cena Part 2 at SummerSlam. So now we got our Night 1 and Night 2 main event. We got Night 1 main event, Gunther and Punk. Night 2, we got Cody and Cena. I'm in. And then, once again, because now when you go to therapy and they make you start talking, keep talking. You start doing slow self-reflection. That's what I'm doing right now. So then I thought about, okay, well, they need to make SummerSlam huge. Just the first two night one. They got to make it a marquee and a staple that you want to come every single year. So it's got to be big. Cody and Cena, we're going to spend probably the next 5 weeks in depth talking about this storyline and how it's turning out and what's going to happen. I got my ideas, but I do want to talk about that a little bit. But then I thought, okay, so night one, because Rhodesia, I'm like, damn, we're still doing this Punk Seth thing. Like, it's not over yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, you can't do Seth and Punk because Gunther's the champion. Gunther's not losing to Goldberg on Saturday Night's Main Event. And I was like, we are then now going to get what I thought we were going to get a month ago with the Roman Reigns foiling the cash in. Gunther and Punk, Seth tries to cash in on him. And when he cashes in that briefcase before he wins the championship, Roman comes back and costs him the title. That is what happens there. And then we get Roman and CM and Seth Rollins at that France pay-per-view in September as the main event. And then Roman goes off and shoots his video. I haven't seen that anywhere. Or movie, I should say. He's in Street Fighter with 50 Cent, Cody Rhodes,
and Jason Momoa.
That is...
Give me all that energy, baby.
AI casting right there. I'm here for it. I would be there night one to watch that train wreck. But yeah, so
damn.
I think that takes us right into the fall. And now we're set. Now we're done with these every 2 week shows. Now we're back to the normal cadence. And I'm like, okay, now I'm in it. So that's what really got me excited. But to what you astutely pointed out to me 8 minutes ago, indirectly, I didn't say all because that's going to be a fantastic match. I'm only talking about the story, but they spoiled us with the bloodline. They did.
Yeah, it's our hangover, right?
They did.
They did. They need to bring back that writing team. Like who put that together and need to put together some of these main events. And like, and part of it might be, as you said, about there's so many shows and they're getting to that. Like, I just look, their booking at the top of the card is just it's just not good, man.
It's head scratching sometimes.
Yeah, it's.
Mm-hmm.
What y'all want to talk about?
I don't know. Are we done talking about Crown?
No, whatever y'all want to talk about. I got a couple of notes.
I call it Crown Jewel.
It's the same. It's always Crown Jewel. Even in the Royal Rumble in January, we're gonna call it Crown Jewel.
Man. Okay, I'll talk about Crown Jewel real quick. If it was just me. Now, I love the match. I actually really, really enjoyed the match. But I really felt like the whole Raquel and Rhea match didn't really feel like a street fight. And I felt like, is it because they were in Saudi? So maybe that's kind of frowned upon, women hitting each other with crazy, extravagant things, or what? What were y'all thoughts on that being a street fight? Only a street fight. Did you feel like that was a street fight?
I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a hard. I mean, I know it's not.
It wasn't
much different. It wasn't a hardcore match, right?
I mean, that's what I anticipate when I hear street fight.
Which it typically can be. It's just, ways of saying weapons are legal. But you tell me street fight. I mean, I was watching that match more from a perspective of how is Rhea going to win and they still protect Raquel because she's half of a tag team champion.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, I wasn't high on that match last week when we went over. I was like, well, I know why you got to do it or why you want to do it, maybe, but give me Rhea. You're not like.
But I did like the match,
yeah.
and I thought they hit pretty hard. I love, and I don't know if it's just because of me being the feminist. I love when I see women matches where they're like really aggressive and like hard hitting. Like we don't have to be soft and dainty. Not saying there's anything wrong. Well, maybe I am saying there's something wrong being soft and dainty, but I like those kind of matches like a lot. Like when they are hard hitting, you're like, oh shoot, like some of those things was there, like all the way there. So I really actually enjoyed that match a lot. I just was like, this didn't feel like a street fight. This just seemed like a match, and let's say the ref wasn't paying attention type of thing. Like a typical Judgment Day match is actually what I thought it felt like. A typical Judgment Day match.
I feel like it's like, yeah, it's a street fight, but it wasn't a hardcore like match. So you think about use that terminology, you thinking blood and you thinking like some extreme type of things. I didn't expect that in the street fight. But to be quite honest, that's not my cup of tea anyway, those type of matches. Like for them to, the street fight was this, they can be outside the ring as long as they want, right? There's interference, and that's what we got. And all these things, shenanigans were okay, in the match. And it kind of fit to me, right? Especially we had Roxy come out there. Yeah. I mean, it was fine for me. I mean, I thought the match was fine. Like that table spot at the end, I was a little nervous for him at first, man. I'm like, yo, I hope this goes as planned.
But I will say that what I really enjoyed about that match is that they were the first of any gender to be able to have a street fight in Saudi. I thought that was cool. So at least that's one more thing that Rhea can have under her belt, the first Saudi match, the street fight match.
And
that's it.
What else?
I'm not going there with the other women's match. So I know you maybe had preluded to it at the beginning of our show.
With what?
But it was the Jade and Asuka. Actually, I can talk about that. It was exactly what I expected. Jade was going to go over. She looked like $1,000,000. She actually looked like Storm. Asuka, fast pace, wrestling style, did not look as off as I thought it would be or thought it could be. But the match was okay. The match was okay. I'm not going to complain about it. There were still some things, but she's still really green, and I still have to give her a pass for that. But again, it wasn't anything like, oh, this was going to be stolen as the match of the night at all.
That's interesting that you said that, because it sounds like to me you may be putting some extra pressure on her that shouldn't be there. There was nothing wrong with anything Jay did that night.
And then there we go.
So you may be looking at her at a really critical eye.
I could be. Yeah. Because again, you're in the ring with somebody like Asuka, and I've told you already, like in the previous show, like Asuka, the style of wrestling that she has and how fast she moves, like I want someone to be able to keep up with that. And I think she did.
But
just
she's only
enough.
moving that fast when she's on her comeback. It's not like she's balls to the walls from bell to bell. That's not how Asuka works. So even when you said that, I didn't like cut you off last week.
Not really. When she strikes with intensity and speed with that.
But that doesn't matter for the person. That doesn't matter for Jade though.
But it can.
Selling a slow strike and selling a fast strike and Jade sold.
She did
in that match.
She did.
She sold in that match. And I guess it's like a dream match for her. I would love to hear that story one day.
Well,
She tweeted
if I was
out
a wrestler, I would
afterwards.
love, but that would be my
But
dream
if she
match.
didn't really follow wrestling, like how was Asuka? And you started in AEW. Like how was Asuka one of your dream matches? That's just a conversation I would like to know. Like how did that happen?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I was actually curious what you guys would say about the match. I thought the match was fine when I watched it. And then, you know, my expectation for her match quality is a little bit lower than you guys. And I think you said something just Matt, like with Trick and with Jay, I feel like the expectation of where they should be in the ring is a little too high overall from the hardcore fan base. And I think part of that has to be is that she's so charismatic and her aura and her presentation and maybe her push doesn't match where I guess people think she should be in the ring. Where, like, for instance, when we talked about Asuka, like Asuka's a great wrestler, but I don't really think of her as like this. Like every match she hit is just like a banger type match. I mean, like, her matches are usually, fine to good, and some are really great depending on who's in the ring with. But I don't feel like she's this person to where Jade wouldn't be able to keep up. I feel like Asuka is a smart worker, right? To where she can take a step back and the match will be just fine, because a lot of great wrestlers, they kind of slow down a little bit depending on who they're in the ring with, and they change their style, especially if you're a veteran and you take pride in what you do, you should be able to get in the ring and work with anybody and it be a good to great match. Like, right? If you have pride in what you do, you should be able to do that. Like, right? So, like, I didn't expect the match to be bad, but I feel like a lot of times with those two in general, like, I feel like because of their character and their aura, maybe their push, it's not where we think a main event wrestler at that caliber in that point in time should be. So we unfairly hold them to that standard. Like, I don't think that we should be putting Jay anywhere near Asuka, who's been in the business for like damn near 20 years. Like, right, we only know what she was doing in WWE, but she's been doing her thing in Stardom, and she was a big star over there for a decade. Like, right, I don't think we should be like, oh shit, Jay needs to keep up. I feel like this is where, like, okay, probably Asuka is probably going to do the heavy lifting in this match. And then we talk about Roxy, like, she's a prodigy. She is the opposite of what Jay is. I think that sometimes people, like in sales, like we all come from sales background, you get that new person that you're training, and they just really catch on. Like, they just hit it out the park. Like, they're just natural talkers. They're able to empathize, and boom, boom, boom. Then you got some other people who kind of slow out the block, right? They maybe don't have the same natural talent, charisma that other person has, right? So it takes them a little bit longer, right? After a while, they learn the foundationals, the foundation of being a good salesperson. They learn the mechanics, and they grow and get better in time. And some people just aren't cut, like, they're just not naturally good at that thing, right? But they can be good given time and experience. I feel like that's what Jade is. I feel like, I don't know, I don't want to shortchange a woman, but I just don't think that this is something that she's a prodigy. I feel like this is probably something that she's going to take her a minute to get the ring aspect. But what she took really well is the character part. And for me, I think that's more important. And she has that.
As a pro wrestler, 100%. So then that's going to lead me then into my question. So Matt's going to be happy that I have something to bring to the show. When, where, how, what, who, here, when, what, why, who, what, where, do we grade on a curve? When do we say, okay, this person is green, we're going to lower our expectations from them or for them, versus they are not green and they're seasoned, two season, and now we need to expect a lot out of them. We know that things aren't always fair, because in a team, whether it's work, whether it's sports, professional wrestling, there's role players, and everybody has to play their role. But my question is, at what point, and you guys can put it on a date, you could put it on how many matches under their belt, you could put it on how many times they're on television, how many wins, how many losses, what championships, anything you want to measure it by. At what point do you say, okay, this person should no longer be considered green, and I'm going to hold you to the same expectations as I do everybody else that I see on television?
That question is so fluid.
I think I know my answer.
Because for me, there's not an answer, because I need to know everything around it. What's your environment? Like, take Private Party, for example. Private Party is looking to sign to WWE. They say that's the word. And I'm so excited for those guys. And this is not a slight to AEW or to Private Party. but they're going to learn so much being under that NXT WWE umbrella in terms of just how to work smart and get the most out of your moves and psychology. Those boys are gifted. They're entertaining. You want to watch them. You know what I mean? Like, they have that part, and they've been working for years. So now imagine if they started in NXT. And I'm not saying NXT is the end all be all, but anybody who was trained under and at WWE will tell you that they know their shit when it comes to teaching you how to work, mental, that part of the game. My answer would be completely different for Private Party. If they were in NXT, 6 years ago, or the launch of AEW to now, I would say, oh, well, they should they have it by now. But now I'm looking at them like, okay, they're probably kind of like day ones a little bit. Look at somebody like Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks had it before he was really even on AEW.
Mm-hmm.
So his timeline is completely different. Now, do we think Ricky Starks is a once in a lifetime talent? Roman Reigns, John Cena, Kenny Omega? No, probably not. So that's not to say that he is going to now then be that guy that's going to be main eventing WrestleMania for the next 6 years in a row because he caught on early. But he's much better off as earlier as he was than some of these people who have been doing it a little bit longer. So that's why I said that answer for me is so fluid. There is no like set time or date. Like, man, this person's been in the game for 10 years. You got to figure it out. Because I would just have to always think to myself, like, who have you been in the ring with? Where have you worked? Who have you been in promo battles against? Like, if Roman Reigns never figured it out, it'd have been time for Roman Reigns to shit or get off the pot and say, all right, dude, like, hey, you're still super valuable, but you're not going to be the next John Cena. He took his lumps and he became that guy for as long as he did. Cody Rhodes, same thing. Like, nobody saw this in Cody Rhodes for dashing Cody Rhodes. Yeah, you would say, like, oh, man, that boy is talented. Good-looking kid. He can work in the ring. That's kind of probably where he's at.
I knew.
God, man.
I knew.
All right.
I told you.
Mark Calloway. Outside of Vince seeing the Undertaker gimmick in him, yeah, he was gifted. I don't know if anybody thought he would have the legendary career that he did, but look at who they are. Everybody who I named, think about where they worked, who they worked against. Long, extended programs. And that's why these house shows, going back to that, was so important.
Yep.
Man, I'm working the top guy for the next 3 months every single night.
Yeah, you're going to learn so much. It's so invaluable.
Car rides, right? Oh, we're going from Chicago to Detroit. It's 4 hours. Come ride with me.
Yeah.
Shut up and drive. And I'm going to just tell you everything you need to know. Like, those things help so much, I think, in the ring that we don't see now. And yeah, they got the PC. AEW allows their talent to work indies. So you're still getting reps, but it just, like, I think it just depends on who you work and where and all that.
I got an answer, but you came up with an answer yet?
Are you talking about from a ring work perspective or just from an overall wrestler perspective?
Just overall wrestler perspective.
I mean, yeah, that is fluid. If you think about it from a ring perspective, I feel like with proper training, I think 4 to 5 years, like somebody, you should know if they have it or not. Because at a particular point, especially about 4 or 5 years, you kind of get set in certain type of things. But from a character standpoint, you never know when somebody can actually reach that level to where they find the right character, they find the right look. I mean, that can change over time, right? If you look at Rhea Ripley, like, her look has changed from day one to where it is now, like, from an aura perspective. My guy Cody been through 1,000 different gimmicks until he decided to bet on himself and he left the company and did his own thing. Right? He created the American Nightmare character himself. Like, right? So it kind of depends on the person and their journey. But I do truly think that from like a wrestling mechanical perspective, I think about 4 to 5 years with proper training, right? If you're getting trained properly and you ain't got it, like, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. But it's like, Matt, you said something earlier about Private Party, right? I thought about them too, and I'm like, man, like, right, they're gonna learn like how to work when they get to NXT, because I'm assuming they're going to NXT. Like, they're gonna learn how to work, and they're gonna get those little misses and pieces from just not from the high spot perspective. And I think they're gonna do really well because they have some personality. Because like I said it before, them boys at NXT is dry, man. I think hey, look, no shots to like these new young kids coming up nowadays. But a lot of these cats, man, I don't know what's going on, man. They real dry out here, man.
But is that something that you have to learn? Like, granted, I have not turned on NXT. I thought about this earlier today. I have not watched an episode of NXT
over a month,
in at least a month. I'm talking a second of it, right? So I think a lot of it's because it hasn't been catching me. And I also said I'm a watcher where I'm kind of the opposite. Some people feel like, hey, if they get their major fill of the main thing, they don't watch the opposite. I watch the opposite when it's being killed. So like main roster killing it, I'm watching NXT. Main roster not killing it so much. Let me kind of turn a little bit to AEW a little bit more and see what they're doing. But maybe, man, those guys are just so young. They got to figure out their character and personality. Maybe that's what it is.
Man, look, like the women are young. They just as young, right? And they carrying segments and promos and it's much more entertaining, man. You can't take a lot of these dudes and put them in the same type of segments outside of the Ricky Starks. You know what I'm saying? And say what you want about my boy Lexus King, right? At least he had a little bit of personality, right? He tries to do his thing.
I like my sideburns, dude. If this was like I'll say in the 90s, I wasn't old enough yet in the 90s. If this was early 2000 and Matt wasn't around, me and Lexus King may have been able to hook up because he looked like a little brother, just missing the tan.
He got a good look going right now. Can he put it together? Who knows? But I think Private Party, they got a little personality. It's quirky, but they got some personality. Right, so I think they're going to be really good. You know who they remind me of? I thought about it. It was like, Billy Ray was saying that he didn't know how to work until he got to WWE. And you think about it, he was in ECW killing it for years.
AJ has said that, brother.
AJ think about that.
Think about that.
AJ said that,
I get it now. Why they say you learn when you get to WWE. That's why I've always said, man, he's older now. And he's had a lot of injuries, but man, imagine Kenny a 2-year run where they use him right. The whole point of his run is for him to look great. Imagine what that would look like for him, and then the tips and tricks he would pick up being there. It would have been crazy. Wow.
I would say, just on I measured mine a little bit differently. It was no right or wrong answer here. I would probably.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said yours.
Nope, never did. I think 2 things. Was 3 things. One is safety. As long as you're safe in the ring, you protect yourself and you are protecting that other person. You're still a moneymaker, and that moneymaker could be looked at different ways. It could be like there's eyeballs on you, there's interest on you. Revenue on your merchandise. Whenever you do the ratings, it spikes up. Whatever that interest is, whatever they want to use for money making. So if you are safe and you're money making, I can give you a pass. But for me, where I kind of still would add to it is if you are a champion, one of the main champions, so one of the heavyweights on the woman or man side, I will probably be a little bit more tougher on you, because as a champion, me being the wrestling fan that I am, the champion should be the supreme. It should be the person who is at the highest, that everybody is trying to become. That everybody is trying to get their reps in and do better to be that person. They are the face of the company. That's the time where I probably would say, like, for instance, and again, I'm just saying Jade here. I'm not saying her in real life. I'm just using her as an example. If she was the women's champion, the Raw champion, the SmackDown champion, I probably will still be critical of her because she is the main champion. She's an IC or US champion. Wonderful. But that's where I go with it. I would just say, as long as they're safe, making money, I'm cool with it. Because even if you can't be as a technician in the ring, but you have interesting matches, who am I to tell you that you ain't it? But I would say that if you are one of the main champions, I probably am going to be a little more critical on you, like forever.
That's like some new school thinking right there, man. Cause we done seen plenty of champions be dog shit in the ring.
Hell yeah,
like they ring work had nothing to do while they was champion.
Sure wasn't.
We done seen, man. Like, look, we can probably low key. Matt and I can probably go think of at least 20 people off top of our head right now who had that championship,
for real. Especially back in the day, and that's why we love the IC belt so much.
Because that was more of the proud belt there, right? Is that where I'm getting at? Where y'all were getting at the IC belt had more.
Those just were the really good guys.
Yeah. That's what ended up happening, but that wasn't what it was back in the day. Typically, right, it's just the person who had the championship who was the biggest draw. Right. I said
no matter how they worked,
and
then no matter how they looked, if you put butts in seats, you was at the top. So the one thing I had for the show. Well, I got two things, but this is the one. This was what intrigued me more than anything else. And this was Cody Rhodes' promo after he beat Randy Orton. I'm going to play it for anybody who didn't hear it. And we don't have to deep dive this. But I do want your thoughts immediately after you heard this promo. What did you think?
I have to thank Randy Orton, the legend killer. Nothing but respect from the guy who mentored me, the guy who spoke up for me. He's a future Hall of Famer. And this isn't his last stop here in Saudi Arabia. One more time for Randy Orton.
How you doing my story? How you doing my business out? I'm coming back.
He's submission.
I am well aware. I hear each and every one of you. This is an arduous path. First, Jey Uso, the most beloved character in all of WWE.
I'm going to stop right there.
Okay.
Did that sentence, those two sentences, do anything to you when he said it?
No. Not at this moment, no.
Really?
Really.
Okay.
Then the modern locker room leader, the man, Randy Orton. And at SummerSlam, that means I'm facing either CM Punk or John Cena.
Pause there.
And I completely get...
Ask me that question.
No.
Because I was going to say no.
How you feel as an audience when I go up against these beloved characters, but I want you to hear it from me.
Still nothing, huh?
There. And there was a key word that right after you paused it, right before you paused it, it was character.
He said it the first time about Jey Uso. He called Jey Uso a character.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
And then he brought it back here. I know how you guys feel about your beloved characters.
Yeah.
My ears perked up and said, whoa, wait, huh?
I was born to do this, whether it be CM Punk or John Cena. They are holding on to that belt for themselves, and they are holding on to it for me, because at SummerSlam, I get the ball back.
Well, you can put that in my veins, so I get the ball back. I think that's a hard line. I don't want to lean into the whole heel thing. I don't. But if you guys want to bring it up, we can bring it up. I do want to talk about the word character, because when he said it the first time, like, I swear to God, I perked up. I said, whoa, huh? And then when he brought it back again, the beloved characters. And I said, okay, either Cody and Jey are about to get beefed out because you're saying he's a character, he's not a real person. Right? You're in love with these characters. I'm real. You're a character. But I don't think that's the case, because they saying Cody Rhodes happy birthday after Raw or the SmackDown taping last night, and Jey was in the ring and dropped the cake by mistake, and they sitting there hugging and everything. So don't think they're feuding. And then my second part about that character word was, what the fuck? We talking about this Netflix show, which is called what? Unreal, Too Real, whatever it is. Unreal, Too Real.
Telling
we've
too
gotten
much
so many
business,
peeks behind
snitching.
the curtains. We got these podcasts that they are,
they're advertising on TV. Yes,
and every podcast really is from a shoot perspective.
And I don't see TFW at all.
Storyline
at all.
I said, "Yo, are we now calling wrestlers characters on TV, or is this a part of a bigger plan?" Like I said. Even if it's not a heel turn, was that the beginning of a significantly different presentation of Cody Rhodes after SummerSlam?
I The character, I don't remember hearing it the first time with Jay, but the characters, these are the beloved characters. The reason why that had resonated with me was because of how the tournament went. So there was times where there was the faces and going against each other. So that did hit me there on the character part of it. What really got me though was the belt. Him saying the belt. And again, you are the face, the champion of WWE, even if you don't have the championship. The belt word to me kind of took me off guard. Not saying that I think that means he's about to go down a hill path. I'm not necessarily saying that he should right now. I'm not
and
saying
for anybody who doesn't understand why that means so much to us in terms of, because in WWF, WWE, that word was banned from Vince McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you talked about the championship title, you could not use the word belt. It literally was on a ban list for wrestlers and announcers to not be able to say on TV.
Like hospital.
So that's why, so if anybody's listening to it and they're just like, okay, it is a belt.
Yeah.
Because in WWE, it's not a belt. It's a championship title.
And it's superstars, not pro wrestlers.
Oh man, Michael Cole hit the fan base on Monday night.
Like, what are we talking about here?
Hey, did you hear that?
What's that?
He said
Michael
fan
Cole.
base. So they had a couple funny mess ups, just real small. But Michael Cole, so I forgot who it was fighting in the crowd, and I don't know if he didn't know what he wanted to say, but he was like, "There they are fighting."
It was
the
LA
fan
Knight
base, in the WWE fan base. I was
LA
like,
Knight
okay,
and Seth. LA Knight and Seth. Yep.
Bring back universe more than fan base. Is that what we're doing now? If you're yeeting in that fan base, like, all right,
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry, I digress.
But to answer that question, your original question, I don't think that was a sign of a major change in character. I didn't get that vibe off of it. I just, like I said, it took me back when he said characters, because what is that supposed to mean? Then are you a character, or are you also belittling them? So I could see maybe where you're going, or where you're thinking, can this be the turn of it? It could be, but I didn't interpret that as that. But it did take me back when I heard characters and belt. That was almost, again, like you said, the ban word. That was kind of forbidden to say on TV as your face of the company.
I gotta keep it real with y'all, man. Fuck them Vince isms and all that shit he talked about. Like the belt thing, that's just one of them wrestler terms, to be honest with you. They call it belts. Like Vince didn't like it. It makes sense. Like you think about it, like it's a champ, like it has more prestige to call a title. But belt is just their slang. That's just something that they use, right? So I don't think the man turned heel because he using wrestler slang. You know what I'm talking about? Like, man, that's y'all wow. But as far as like the character perspective,
y'all wow.
But from a character perspective, like I get what you're saying. But so to me, here's the thing about Cody. I appreciate Cody. Like, right? He workshops his promos. Right? So this isn't, he don't go out there and be off the top. He workshops his stuff. Like, right? And Cody likes to present himself a certain type of way, from a look, from a presentation perspective, and even from a promo perspective, right? He used some really big words. He used some really big words that most people don't use in everyday language, like, right? Now, that's him. He likes to use those words. He's a dictionary guy, etc. Like, right? So for him, when he's saying characters, that's just him talking in Cody language, right? Because probably for him, when he workshops the promo, that's like, hey, this is a story that I'm telling, and these are the characters in the story. Like, so for him, I think that's just his way of talking. That, if you want to put lack of better words, he's trying to take his promo and up it intellectual level for the match.
And I'm
audience.
fine with that. So you think that was it? You think it was literally only him talking in the vocabulary he kind of talks into? That's more of what you would hear if he was cutting a shoot promo, right? Quote unquote shoot promo on a video back in the day or something. You feel like that's just what that was?
Yeah, I feel like that's, if he were talking about the show and the presentation of the show, he would use characters over whatever the case may be. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is, right? These are stories and these are characters. I mean, Jey Uso isn't a real person. That's a character. Like, right? Cody Rhodes isn't the man's real name. Like, these are characters that are portraying on a story that have elements of their real life personas. Like, but at the end of the day, it's a story. So for him, he's talking to the audience just like he would in a shoot tape or an interview or whatever the case may be, right? So in a lot of ways, that might be him kind of letting people in, like, look, this is how I speak, this is how I talk, and this is what's happening. Like, hey, these beloved, and then you think about it, like from a story perspective, you got Cody, the number one heel, and he's wrestling Jey Uso, right? Arguably the second, some nights maybe the most popular wrestler on the roster, like, right? Potentially CM Punk, another favorite, and then John Cena, regardless of him being heel, he's getting babyface pops right now. So he's like, hey, thank you for sticking with me on this journey to reclaim a championship gold. I know I'm fighting dudes that you like, but hey, just because I'm fighting other dudes you like, thank you for not turning against me as I get my journey and I get that ball back. That's what I took from it. Now, at the end of the day, it could be a more not necessarily sinister plan, right? But honestly, my expectation for their storytelling is a lot lower. I don't know if they be adding all that. I feel like that's something we be doing, man. We be adding a lot more details and layers to their writing than they ever present on television. And you think about what we've been seeing for the past year, we ain't seen that level of detail in a long time. Like, right?
I do like that a lot of the top card is starting to intermingle again with each other. Remember, that was a big thing before WrestleMania, where I talked about, and I felt like Raw did it tremendously. Remember, I said, like, on SmackDown, it felt like they were kind of on their own island. Like, you know, whatever that IC feud was just those two people. Whatever the U.S. Women's Championship match was, it was just those two people in the feud. And what we're starting to see now, and part of that was the main event at Night of Champions, a lot of these characters are starting to intermingle with each other. You know, LA Knight being on Monday Night Raw, attacking Seth Rollins, and that being the thing. Like, so I do like that.
Hey, Matt, real quick.
Yeah.
So when LA Knight was coming into the shot, I saw like somebody's legs. I'm like, who's this knucklehead getting in the shot?
Me too. I'm like, man, why y'all doing that?
Like, get this, be like that.
Get him. Then all of a sudden end up being LA Knight. Like, oh snap.
that was fun. We got to talk about it, and we probably should have led with this for our show. We have talked about this man. We have said his name. It has to have been more than any other wrestling podcast. I wonder if we said this man's name more than any other wrestling podcast.
I'm quite sure we did. And that was my other favorite match.
And you know where I'm going with it, right?
I do. Well, I don't know where you're going with it. I know who you're referring to.
Who am I referring to?
We're talking about Karrion Kross.
Absolutely not.
Oh. I'm
talking about Talla Tonga. He's here, boy. Ooh-wee. We've been promoting this man.
No, actually, no, you might be right. No, shoot.
We have been promoting this man more.
I think so.
We're going to
call him longer.
Other wrestling podcast, broadcast combined. I'm not saying his real name. I'm saying Talla Tonga is here. We finally made it. That man has locked in on the hard cam and will not let it go. We are never letting go of Talla Tonga. I am holding my hands tight right now. You can't do this to me. You can't give me a little bit of Talla Tonga and then take them back. I want Talla Tonga t-shirts. I want posters. He may be one of the only Samoans I haven't met yet out of that whole family. I need to meet Talla Tonga. He's here, y'all.
But
and that is his official name, Talla Tonga.
What's unfortunate?
We did it.
Yes. So actually, let me stop. We need a moment of silence in appreciation to the TFW podcast that we, through manifestation, got him single-handedly. Not him.
Single-handedly.
Not him. Forget him. We single-handedly.
That boy had his back turned to the hard cam every single week in Florida. But they said, that fucking TFW podcast, keep talking about him. Numbers go up when they mention Talla Tonga. Everybody has smiles on their faces. Everybody's laughing when they talk about Talla. We got to get this guy on camera, but he can't fucking face the right hard cam. They got to a point, it was like, look, man, either you know that shit is to your right when you come out, or you got to go. He figured it out. He made it all the way to Saudi.
The problem is,
Tight, Talla.
So listen, I'm happy we got the debut, we got a new Samoan. But do you think that he thought his his first day and a half on the Twitter IWC was going to be him being X-Pac?
What happened?
They were calling him an overweight X-Pac.
Why is that?
Because how he looks. You didn't see that on the Twitter?
I'm like, no, he don't have no damn X-Pac.
Let me send you some
and
pictures.
you really aren't on Twitter that often, and the one time you are, that's the joke you decide to bring.
That's the same way of how I said that the Undertaker was. Did y'all hear about Undertaker joining the creative team?
Oh, so do you have a segment today for Rhodesia's rumors? Remember you were supposed to?
Mm-mm.
What happened with that?
We didn't talk about that.
But you want to bring up dumbass questions about how long does work rate take in the ring, and how long
take that bass out your voice. Take that bass
until people
all the way
clap
out your
for
voice.
you. Like, what the fuck was that question
Wow,
about? But you can't come with a segment that people have been asking for.
You gotta. It's
Y'all see that? Anybody who was asking for a Rhodesia's rumors, she didn't even have the time, energy, and effort to give you that. But we do have Talla Tonga.
They did ask for it.
They did. What you think, E? You've been a proponent of Talla Tonga as well.
Man, I'm like, I don't know what it is with the WWE in this run of like factions. Like, how do we have all these nameless ass factions? Like, right? Well, we don't.
Okay, so then what is Seth's team? What is Paul Heyman's team?
We don't know the name for that, but actually, they haven't said the bloodline, right? Right, and at this point, it ain't, because Kai ain't related to none of them fools. Like, right? Like, and then now the brothers, like, yeah, they are brothers, and but they ain't related to Solo. Like, right? So like, I'm like, where's the name at this point, right? But at the end of the day, I'm like, man, this is a boring ass faction. Like, I like Solo, and like when Talla came out there, I was like, I feel bad, man. I thought we waited a year for this.
We did, dude. So that's why you can't shit on it.
That's what we got, right?
He got no reaction.
But of course he wouldn't, right? Because who knows? They don't know who he is. Like, he made his name in Japan. And even in Japan, he wasn't a huge name over there.
But even off the equity of a Samoan running in, he should have got something.
Because before that, you had the other legendary return. You had the other legendary return. Who else came back?
Tongaloa.
There we go.
The legend Tongaloa. It's hard to come. No, wrong person, Rhodesia.
No.
It's hard. It is hard work.
Zyrtec D.
To try to get another pop right after Tongaloa returns. That was the pop of the night.
First off, okay, we're not about to do that on episode 206.
That pop rivaled John Cena's pop when his music first hit.
Not doing that on episode 206. The infamous
Tongaloa comes back. It'd be hard for Talla to get a pop after that.
No, we're not doing that.
Let's see what type of response he gets next week.
Now that could have been part of Rhodesia. Is it Rhodesia's rumors? What is it? The first name, Rhodesia's rumors.
Oh my god,
you don't even know.
You don't know the name.
I don't even know the name of it.
Yeah, it's like you said. Rhodesia remembers.
Let's move around.
That'd be a trash ass segment too. You just talk about stuff that you remember in wrestling.
How about the people who want me to have Rhodesia's rumors, because I think it's incredible. And again, anytime I get to talk, I'm a ham. I want to talk. Why don't y'all give me the rumor so I can just act like I heard it from somewhere else? Yeah. No, don't do DM, because I don't do DMs. Like I told you, I only have 3 to 4 text groups. I'm not responsive on this. Sorry. But just like do it on Twitter. Actually go through Matt through that FNW. And just tell them.
That shit, I'm blocking it. My girl showed me you got one more message to me about this damn Rhodesia rumor. You getting blocked too. I love you, but I'm past this shit. But E, you brought up Solo, man. I'm very happy for Solo. I really am. You think about him, he's another one where, hey man, just shut up, stand there. We putting a persona on you, knowing he's the biggest damn fool and class clown ever, right? But sit there, don't crack a smile, don't crack a smirk, just look menacing. I am happy for him because now he has his own path. I mean, just think about a year ago, actually, him and Cody at SummerSlam. And I remember our post show, we were kind of like, hey, letter grade. Like, what do we think about Solo? And we're like, okay, he was serviceable in there, but he was carrying some of the TV leading up to that, with Cody and after WrestleMania. So to see him now, to be able to probably be his truest form, and he is comfortable in that, being hilarious, and he's got gold. We didn't call it at all. I think we all had Jacob winning. So I am interested to see where this goes, but I think now what this looks like is this is maybe where we get Jimmy and Jay to back up Jacob, because Jacob has no help.
And now he needs his actual real brothers.
Correct.
Yep.
So
his fake real brothers.
I know you do not
cousins.
want Jay back to being a tag team guy, man, but that can be one of the bigger highlighted matches at SummerSlam if they do some form of Solo's bloodline with Jacob, Jimmy, Jay. I don't know if you find a fourth member or fifth, but I'm interested in that, because I'm interested in seeing what a babyface Jacob looks like a true booked like babyface Jacob Fatu.
But do we think we would get a true booked Jacob babyface like in the I'm gonna call Cody again as the true babyface? I don't think we're ever gonna get that from Jacob.
I mean, just that he's going against strictly heels. That's what I mean.
Oh,
okay.
Why he's booked as
a babyface.
Got it. I thought you meant like personality. I'm like, I don't ever see that in him.
No. Y'all got anything else y'all want to add on Talla Tonga?
I got something for Raw though.
You do? I got something that I want to get to, a couple things before we get to Raw, and then you can get to Raw. I told you it's gonna be kind of random. Brandon sent us a text last week after the last show, and he said, if you remember for the next pod, do you think WWE's most recent talent acquisitions negotiated winning titles within the first 180 days of their debut, or has WWE proposed that as an incentive for signing, or is that just organic creative? I think this is a great question, because I still hear people who think wrestlers get creative control in their contract. That's not a thing. Hulk Hogan had it. Bret Hart, in his last run with WWE as a full-time wrestler, had the vote to veto a creative idea that he wasn't a part of. Not necessarily say he had creative control, but that's not really a thing. You know, some people have stroke, and there's a lot of jockeying for position, especially at the top of WWE. I talked a little bit about it leading up to WrestleMania, where I said, like, there's some stuff going on behind the scenes, because when Rock pulled out, people trying to get, the top match and what matches they're going to work. We've heard Roman put the kibosh to WrestleMania 40, say he didn't think it was time yet for Cody. Hell, Cody said he didn't want to turn heel yet when Rock wanted to turn him heel, leading up to WrestleMania. So they have input, and of course, the higher you get, the more that input weighs on things. And you got a very particular set of people who can say, yeah, we got to figure out something else, and something else will be figured out. But nobody has it in their contract that they have creative control. So that's number one. Number two, with the wrestler contracts, I think that is just, hey, when you come in, we're going to give you an opportunity, but we're going to set you up for success when you first come in. I don't think it's a thing of, hey, I want to come in, I want to win the title. But it's funny he brings that up, because that tells me he is seeing a pattern with new people coming on television and getting kind of thrust in the spotlight, and then maybe not keeping that same level of stock 4, 5, 6 months later.
I might be tripping here, and it could be I've got to stop calling it ZRTD until they pay me for this. But the only people I could think of that came to main roster WWE was Penta and Phoenix. I don't know who else came to main roster that would even come up. Now, if you're talking about somebody who went to NXT and part of their contract was to win championship, not to say who really cares if you're an NXT champion, but kind of who cares, because that's still the developmental. So who else am I missing that would have came up? Because I actually think that, and one of my notes here is about Penta, is that they're keeping him in a spotlight, maybe not winning championships, but they're keeping him and pegged him as somebody who is important as far as the top guy. So who else is there besides Penta and Phoenix that came over? Am I missing somebody?
And if you're talking about from a 4 or 5 months perspective that has titles, that may be a little bit hard to kind of carve down. But think about Jacob Fatu. He came in last July, I think.
Okay.
And look how quick he took off. You talked about Penta, you talked about Phoenix. He's kind of lost to me. I mean, he's right in the mid card, but Rusev coming back. And he, in a pretty solid spot. And shout out to him and Sheamus. They just wouldn't stop wrestling last night. Rhodesia went to go get Matt from work, came back, and they were still wrestling. She left at the beginning of the match. She left during the intros. And I just said they just won't stop wrestling. It was a great match.
And why did I leave at the intros? Well, let's talk about that. This is the 200 episodes, right? Why did I leave? Maybe I shouldn't cancel myself. But I own it. Matt, why did I leave? How did that whole conversation go?
Because Matt said he was ready to be picked up from work and you picked him up.
And then what happened after that?
That's why you left.
And what happened after that?
You said you got up and left.
You said, do you want me to pause this? And what did I say?
Well, that has nothing to do with you leaving.
No, but
that has nothing to do with you. Said, why did I leave?
It has something to do with me watching this match.
Then say, I just want to watch the match.
Okay, so let's go.
Yeah,
just follow along.
Want to watch the match.
So follow along. So
okay.
When I said, when you said, you want me to pause this match? And I said, no. What was my response?
I don't know. What'd you say?
Oh my God. I don't want to see this. Rusev does nothing for me. Nothing.
Did Miro do something for you?
In the very beginning, and we talked about how much that Tony Khan and AEW dropped the ball on the Miro character. Does nothing for me. When you told me that the match kept going on and kept going on, I said, was it a good match? You're like, yeah, it was a good match. So, I mean, I'm happy for that, but he does nothing for me. Nothing at all.
Yeah, I got something for you.
He ain't fighting nobody yet.
Yeah, he hasn't really been in a major storyline, but they just wouldn't stop wrestling. It was a good match. I got something for you, E, and you are the perfect person to start this question off with. So, Britt Baker put up a IG post today, and it could have to do with AEW, could absolutely not, because the actual quote is just an incredible, like motivational quote. It's the quote, a lot of people, you probably have seen it, but it says a bottle of water can be $1 at a supermarket, $3 at the gym, $5 at the movie, $6 on a plane. Same water. The only thing that changed its value was the place. And she highlighted that part of the statement. And it says, so next time you feel your worth is nothing, maybe you're at the wrong place. I absolutely love that saying. I've seen it years ago. I believe it. Doesn't matter if it's about AEW or not. That could be just how she's feeling in life. But, of course, people take that to, she is talking about AEW. And my guy Firefly on X said, TK did to Britt what Vince did to Charlotte. Let's talk about it. And my response was, tell me more. And this is what he said. Vince overpushed Charlotte into the stratosphere in every major storyline. Had her go over every wrestler that was being built up. And now she spent the better part of 2 years doing damage control for an ego Vince helped create. Whereas TK did a similar thing to Britt. I told him I was going to bring it up on the pod. So shout out to my guy. But E, do you see the comparisons and do you agree?
I see the comparisons, but I think there's some differences there. Actually, I have Britt. So I have a vault of different topics that we can later discuss. And the great thing is that they're not tied to anything specific. So I can bring them up at any point in time. Yeah, they're universal topics. And she was actually on one of my topics. And one of them being, and we're getting to that sweet spot I like, that I-130 freaks. We getting there. So I can't bring it up now. But one of them was AEW's, bench wrestlers. Like, right? Britt Baker is one of them. Jack Perry. Like Private Party. And there's a couple others I had on the list of people they're just not using. So let's go back to Britt and just talk about her right now to answer your question. I think with her and Charlotte it's a little bit different because Charlotte still gets used pretty frequently, put in high profile opportunities. When she's ready to go, she's typically out there in major spots. Britt's not. Britt hasn't wrestled in almost 10 months at this point. She hasn't wrestled since last year. And I don't think she's injured. Like, I think reports are that she's healthy and she's ready to go, but there's not a spot for her. I don't think that Charlotte will ever not have a spot. Like, right? I think if Charlotte's ready to go, they're going to actively create stories for her to be interjected into. Whereas that's not the case with Britt. So has her ego, I don't know what's going on with her backstage. Like, right? But I would imagine that Britt has been Britt for the past 4 to 5 years. So what's changed? like to me. So I'm just actually interested in see if I think she has some time left still in her contract.
Yeah, she does.
And that's
like time, not just like a few months. I think she's got
like time.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, what a rich man that you can have people like this and you can just say, hey, I'm not using you.
Sit them and don't use them. And now it could be a mutual decision too, right? But like for Britt, outside of Thunder Rosa, and may sound blasphemy, and I didn't think about it. This just hit me when you were talking about Britt. Outside of what she did with Thunder Rosa, that put her on the map, that helped put AEW on the map, what else has she done where we will look at her as like a top talent in wrestling?
Well, she was very entertaining on the microphone and from a character standpoint for probably the first couple of years of that programming.
Okay, because it was her and Rebel, right? Or Rebel.
Yep.
They had that. And I'm like, literally, I'm having a brain fog outside of Thunder Rosa. Like, what else was some of her?
No, from a character perspective,
she was a pillar.
Yeah.
She was a pillar.
Yeah.
Okay. So she was
entertaining up until like even when Jamie Hayter got in like that whole thing.
That's why she was Jamie. Then. Yes. Okay. I do. Okay. Then. Yep.
Like right. It just at some point in time to me, I think I don't know what changed, right? But it was right around that time. What I think perception for her changed was the Mercedes Monet match. Like they're back and forth, right? I think from a fan perspective, that kind of went weird. Like right,
and then you right after that,
can go back. That's right after that. But for me, you can go back to like Saraya, right? She kind of like her promo kind of killed Saraya, like right. Mm-hmm. But Brett kept being used after that, right? But it's definitely the Monet thing. Then Saraya Deep thing,
and we haven't seen her since Serena. When it the last time we saw her in the ring? When it the last time?
That's the last time we seen them. Yep, and we haven't seen either one of them since then too. So you think it was like, damn, it's like if it was the problem, this was Britt, but we haven't seen either one of them since then. I think that was November of 2024.
Yeah, because it was after. Remember, she was gone for a little bit after All In for the match with Mercedes, and then she showed up on TV. She worked the match, and then Serena Deeb came out, and she was like, "Nobody cares." That's the last time we saw
Britt a couple times.
Yeah, so like to Firefly's question, Rhodesia, I do want to get your thoughts on it. I think it's maybe a little and I understand what he's saying. He's not talking about anything surrounding really them. He's talking about more about their positioning and how they were used and how they were protected. So I know he's not talking work rate, 5-star matches, but I think anytime you compare Britt Baker to Charlotte Flair, maybe a tad bit disrespectful, because Charlotte is completely, and in my opinion, she's one of my goats. I think she's absolutely undeniable, right? Like to E's point, you could never go this long without having Charlotte on TV, and it would make sense if she's healthy. But what I think Charlotte could always back it up in the ring, right? Like there's not many people who actually enjoy wrestling for wrestling that will watch a Charlotte match. No, she hasn't had perfect matches, but we've seen some matches with Britt where we were like, yo, they were really not on the same page in that match. That match was really bad.
And probably in the past couple of years, right?
You know what I'm saying? With
like
Charlotte, you may get that one.
Like that. I hate to talk about that Anna Jay match.
That Anna Jay one, man. It was
like,
yes. It's like, how does that happen on television?
How does that happen?
Yeah.
Well, that was a house show, though.
Well, that was a house show, but she had another one on TV where it was very similar to that. And we was like, yo.
Well, the Monet match. Like, how do you have a bad match with Mercedes?
And she's shown ever since. She's been on a fucking tear.
She after that one, she's like, yo.
That's gotta be for her one of her motivations. She'll never say it publicly. But that's gotta be like, man, you really been on a tear recently. Why is that? Because I don't want anybody to think that match against Britt Baker was my fault. That's crazy.
What say you, Rhodesia?
What'd you think?
I love how Firefly drew that comparison because I understand what Firefly meant in the origination of that. You have two women characters who were pushed by the company to be your pillar, your flagship champion face for the division. And that's about it. And that's where it ends. So I get that 100%. And they got pushed and it was a clear push. The difference, again, we don't need to talk about the differences with Charlotte because Charlotte is Charlotte. Well, let me do that. Let me explain the differences with Charlotte. Charlotte is a Flair. Charlotte has also did multiple years in NXT development before she even came up to the main roster, and she honed her craft even more. Where you had with Dr. Britt Baker, I loved her. I loved her probably all the way up until kind of where the Jamie Hayter started to outshine her. We started seeing kind of those cracks there where she was taking over the limelight. And then you add on that Mercedes match too, that kind of just put the nail in the coffin. But when people talk about that they have personality, attitude, I think at one point they were saying that she was the B word. I don't necessarily. Yeah, I don't necessarily. Actually, she said about herself.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily
come back to me now.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have a problem with somebody knowing their stuff. We just talked about that. Yesterday prices ain't today's prices. So if you are confident in yourself, talk your stuff, do your stuff. But I think Matt said it. You got to be able to back it up. And so I think that's probably where the difference is at. And then again, you still can't compare apples to oranges because we've already gone on here for the last 150 of the 200 episodes of talking about the differences between both companies. So you also you're not comparing the same character in their same environment. But yeah, definitely how I would probably compare this more of, and again, still Charlotte has more time, or maybe not actually, would be someone like Hangman Page. When AEW first became a thing and became a company, they were pushing Hangman Page. Like, he was not the inaugural heavyweight champion, but he was AEW. And then for a moment, it was almost like everything had to fall apart. He had to hit his rock bottom before he could become naturally the face of AEW. Before, he was forced and pushed to be it. Because Kenny Omega had already committed that he wasn't going to be the face of it. Matt and Nick, they were the tag team champions. So then you had Jericho come and do what he did, which I'm more props to him than I could ever imagine in my lifetime of what he did for that company to get him on a jumping point. But that was the same thing like with Hangman. They pushed Hangman. And at one point, it was almost like I could see somebody saying, I'm starting to get some John Cena vibes from him. Although his character was always different than John Cena, I can see where somebody would have said that. He had his issues, the issue with Punk, all that started tumbling down. And now he built himself back up in a great campaign against Swerve. And now he's back to being the face of AEW. I would probably compare those two people more together than him and Dr. Britt Baker, or Charlotte versus Dr. Britt Baker in that situation. But other than that, I think initially, as two women who was pushed to be the main face of the company, yes, they do that have that in similarity. But other than that, that's where that is.
Good stuff. Hey, real quick though, like with Britt Baker, so if she were to leave, right, naturally you would think, oh, she would be WWE bound. We talk about like somebody who's capped out. I don't know if Britt can get much better in the ring than she is right now, because she's still a young woman, but she's 34.
Okay,
and that's a longer time for a woman to be in the ring, right? Do you think that she can go to WWE and be able to tweak her style enough to where she can have plausible matches? Because like it's the ring work. The ring work.
Shit in the ring.
No wait, no.
Hold on a second.
Wait, Matt. Hold on. You wait, Matt. Hold on, Matt. Because I want to answer his question. I do think she can figure it out in the ring. The difference is, and this is kind of where I'm at in my life, do I want to do that? There's a difference in it.
But that's the problem you get at that age.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
no, I
think
she could do whatever. She could do
Anybody
everything.
could,
Yes. As you condition your body to be able to do it. It's just a matter of, do I want to do that?
It's the mental aspect. When you get that kind of age, you get kind of set into this is how you are.
Hold on a second. We're only talking about her in-ring work right now, right? Are we talking about something else?
So let's
so you guys got her at what, like a 2-star wrestler?
Oh, I didn't say that. No, I didn't put any stars.
I give her 2.5. Yeah.
No, I won't give her that. I'm not giving her that.
That's nuts. You have her at a career average 2.5 wrestler. No, she's better than that.
She's a C.
No, I give her probably a B minus.
Dog.
Here's the thing. Tell me your favorite Britt Baker. And like, people bring up that Thunder Rosa match. I don't think that match counts. And I think it's overrated. Because what was special about that was that you hadn't really seen a blood match like that from two women.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
That's a fair.
But they worked for the blood. It wasn't like they was just bleeding
Where
buckets of
Moxley?
blood and they didn't
So-
work for it.
I think we should do some homework, and I think we should do that. I think we should go back and I think we should rewatch that match now.
I like that. Is
And
it on Dynamite?
see-
I mean, is it on Max?
Oh,
Are the-
absolutely.
Dynamite's on Max. It's just not the old.
It's on
pay-per-views.
Max. Yeah, it's on Max. So
Because-
go back.
so let's do
watch
that.
Watch
Let's do
that
that.
match.
Let's do
And
that.
like, you know what I'm saying? And now the shock and awe of them bleeding is out. And then we're talking about how
that.
good of that match was. Because since that's the only match you can really kind of point to. If you think about most of her matches, at best, her matches were fine.
So,
But
okay.
this is what I would say though, real quick, Matt. I had never once up until
He hates
there was a
Britt Baker.
couple like the
I love
Anna
Britt
J
Baker.
match, the Anna J
He
matches.
just sucks
I
at
had
it.
never once said watching a Britt Baker match, and a part of it again is part of the character. It's the in betweens that y'all talk about all the time that she absolutely has. But for me, I never said, "Oh, that was a garbage match." I've never said that about her. I've always said, "Oh, that was a good match," or "That was a great match." I've never said that she had a bad match until we had those ones with Anna J. And then, of course, who's your dancing partner? No shade there, but again, she's young and
She had
she's
one
green.
Mercedes.
But
Well,
here's the
But
problem.
yeah.
Here's the problem too, though. She's the veteran.
But and that's okay. But you can have
Right.
a one-off. You can have a one-off.
He's got her at a career average 2.5 wrestler.
Yeah.
That's pretty
That's-
nuts,
that's
man.
low.
But here's the thing: I would take a Britt Baker if I was drafting a women's roster.
Okay.
Britt Baker will be high on my list.
Okay.
Because
All
for
right.
me, if she can give me fine matches where she can just tell and progress the story, I'm fine. What I like from a character or in a charisma perspective, she's off the charts.
We
That-
do need
that
to
matters
do
more to
we do need to do a draft on the show, and then
I think
get
I
our
watch back.
listeners and
We still need to
watchers
go back
to
and watch
to
the
vote.
Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura match. We still
The
gotta
other
go
part-
back
No,
and
we
watch
don't. Why would
Yes,
you
we
do
do.
that?
You
That's
can
my
watch anytime
favorite.
you want to, Rhodesia. You can't even watch.
I don't even know how to get to it.
Live
Don't-
shows,
oh,
you
you
go back
can't
and
even
watch.
play me
Get
like
outta
that. I watch every single show. Don't play me like that.
You just walk the fuck out of matches you don't want to see.
Oh,
What are we,
well,
what
I'll
are we
say it.
talking about?
Oh, come on and say that. I don't want
But
to watch that
E,
match.
to your point though, that's a flawed argument about take that match out, because then somebody could say, like, take out the
Cody's Peck match out.
well, not that. Well, not
Take it
that.
out.
He's got other
I
kind
can
of
say it.
matches.
Take it
But
out.
you could absolutely say take out Hell in a Cell, Mankind and Taker. That's the match everybody talks about with Mankind. You know, like there's a few of those things, but
But no,
I get it.
yes, please do though. Take that match out and look at the rest of the body of their work and tell me if the match were good, because those are just like those are spectacle events. They
Mhm.
stand out because of the spectacle of it, like right. But I'm talking about bell to bell when that damn
She's
bell
had some
rings.
bangers, man.
Like,
She's had some bangers.
how
She
are
really
her
has.
matches?
Yeah.
she
She's
really
had some
Nah,
bangers,
she ain't no
brother.
bangers.
Yeah, she
She
has
did,
with
man.
Rio.
You got her mixed up with
matches
somebody.
with Rio. Yeah, like
Whoa. Okay.
See,
Yeah.
look.
See?
Okay.
Lord have
Okay.
mercy.
Well,
Woo.
it's about time to go. But I do, Rhodesia, I know you said you got just pick your biggest thing from Raw. We can head that and we'll be done. I do want to talk about the New Day losing the tag champions, but not today.
Okay.
Because I want to see what the follow up is before I give my overall thoughts. Because depending on the follow up is going to be determined on how I feel about the run, the turn, the championship, the loss. So let's give it at least until Monday. Let's see if there is any follow up. But what I will say is I knew they were losing the championship when Judgment Day got a TV entrance and New Day didn't. New Day got the already in the ring treatment on Monday Night Raw. Yikes. But maybe it's part of a story. Maybe they're about to go to this disrespect story or something like that. But let's hold off for another week.
I think that's a perfect way to end it.
So that's it. We wrapping? That's a Rizzle wrap, Pizzle Pat?
Yep.
All right, then. That's it. He said cut. And there was a couple things, too, we got in the tuck. We're going to talk about Evolution, which we have to because we got to preview it because it's next Saturday. But I haven't seen more of a Here Damn as a PLE than Evolution Part 2.
What you
There
mean by
is-
that?
It's like, y'all keep asking me, Here Damn, take it. There is no fire behind this show. and I know they just started announcing matches. But
I don't want to go down that
big yikes.
Because I'm irritated with that being a feminist.
Big
here.
Yikes!
Like I'm irritated, but I know they just fell as a victim to all of these shows happening back to back to back to back.
Figure it out. Yeah, you have to. You found a way to promote Goldberg and Gunther.
Yes. No, you
3
have
weeks
to.
out. You can find a way to make Evolution be
special.
A deal. Right now, this is all right.
Man, hey, listen, hey, I had it like months ago when they announced this match. I had it in the vault. Evolution 2. Why?
Well, that's how they feel on Uncut It. What is the name of that show? Unwritten, Uncut.
Real? Look, Too Real. They definitely will see Triple H. And there is audio of a couple years ago of Triple H saying he didn't want to do a second Evolution. He's like, why? He's like, are people wanting like an all men's show? Like, no,
he didn't
he's
say
like,
that.
I swear to God, he did.
Okay.
Hey, I leave a quick anger. Like, look, my thing was like, why are we doing like the first one? Like all women, that was special. Like, right? Okay, now we're doing a second one. Now, up until now, the shows monthly, I think we're already doing some things with the women's division. Like, right? I just think the women's division was really popping like that to carry a whole show.
Yeah.
But I get it, though, because at the same time, as an African-American, like, I would love an all-black pay-per-view, right? Have we ever had one? Like, for me, that would mean a lot to me. We haven't
got a happy Black History Month. We didn't even get that.
No, we did from AEW, and AEW is really dark right now.
Because Tony Khan...
And we didn't get a happy Juneteenth Day.
Hey, look, the switch up by E is incredible.
Tony Khan is my guy, like, right? That's my guy. Look, Tony Khan is my guy, man.
This man went 32 weeks in a row shitting on this guy.
Talk about he's a crackhead.
No, wait.
It's crackish.
Oh, no. I said anything about the crack man. I don't know what he's doing. Not my
my old Golden
Tony.
Gucci looked good last week too.
Go ahead.
He back.
Abuchi.
Hey,
we respect you.
Is he still washed?
No, he looked really good. And it's him and Okada tonight on Dynamite, which should be
told you leave that man alone. That man still was recovering from an injury.
I get that, but bullying works.
Oh, it's all right.
On that note, we out, man. Peace.
Spread love, not bully.
That's true. Spread love, not hate. Unless it's for your favorite wrestler, get in shape. That rhymes. I should be a rapper.